Evelyn Harper had built a reputation that preceded her in Chicago's elite circles. As the wife of Richard Harper, a real estate tycoon with a fortune exceeding $100 million, she commanded attention wherever she went. At 42, Evelyn was a striking figure, tall, impeccably dressed, with a smile that had charm or cut depending on her mood. Her role as a charity board member and her frequent appearances at galas cemented her status, but those who worked under her knew another side. Evelyn was feared, her sharp tongue and unrelenting standards leaving a trail of rattled servers, assistants, and even friends. She thrived on control, and no one dared challenge her until Grace Thompson, a 28-year-old black waitress, stepped into her orbit. Grace was new to the world of Chicago's high society. A single mother to her 6-year-old son, Malik, she had taken the waitressing job at an upscale venue to make ends meet. With a sociology degree she couldn't afford to use, Grace was used to hard work and harder realities. Raised in a working-class neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, she'd faced prejudice and adversity, but carried herself with a quiet strength. Her co-workers at the venue warned her about Evelyn on her first day. "Mrs. Harper will eat you alive if you mess up," one said. She fired a guy last month for bringing her the wrong wine. Grace nodded, filing it away, determined to do her job and go home. The incident happened at a charity gala for a children's hospital, an event Evelyn had chaired for 3 years. It was her stage, a chance to showcase her influence while raising funds. She had spent weeks obsessing over details, from the crystal centerpieces to the guest list of CEOs, politicians, and philanthropists. Richard attended but stayed on the sidelines, his focus on business calls rather than the social scene. Their marriage, now in its 15th year, was a partnership of convenience. His wealth funded her lifestyle, and her polish elevated his image. Evelyn greeted guests with a radiant smile, but behind the scenes, she snapped at staff, demanding perfection. Grace was assigned to Evelyn's table, a high-pressure spot with some of the city's most powerful people. Early in the evening, Evelyn summoned her with a snap of her fingers. "Girl, this champagne is warm," she said, her voice loud enough to turn heads. "Do your job properly or don't bother showing up tomorrow." Grace, unfazed, replaced the glass with chilled one and said, "My apologies, ma'am." Her co-workers later told her Evelyn always targeted new staff to establish dominance, but Grace's calm response seemed to irk her. As the night wore on, Evelyn's demands escalated. She sent back a plate of crab canapes, claiming they were tasteless, though others at the table ate them without complaint. She berated Grace for not refilling her water glass quickly enough, saying, "Are you slow or just incompetent?" The comment drew a few uncomfortable glances from guests, but no one spoke up. Grace responded politely, "I'll get that for you right away, ma'am," and moved on. Her composure seemed to frustrate Evelyn, who was accustomed to flustered apologies or tearful retreats. The gala's auction segment was Evelyn's moment to shine. She bid aggressively on a Caribbean vacation package, raising her paddle to outdo a rival socialite, Margaret Klein. Grace, serving drinks nearby, overheard Evelyn whisper to a friend, "I'll win this just to rub it in Margaret's face. She thinks she's better than me." The bidding reached $50,000, and Evelyn's smug grin widened as Margaret hesitated. Moments later, as Grace passed by with a tray of water glasses, Evelyn subtly extended her foot. Grace stumbled, catching herself before the tray fell, but a single glass tipped, splashing water onto Evelyn's $8,000 designer dress. The room went quiet. Evelyn shot to her feet, her face flushed with rage. "You clumsy idiot," she shouted. "Do you know how much this dress costs? You're done here." Guests shifted in their seats, some whispering, others staring. Grace, steady herself, looked Evelyn in the eye and said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry about the spill, but you tripped me. I think everyone here saw that." Her voice was even, not accusing, but firm. The words hung in the air, and a few guests nodded subtly, having noticed Evelyn's move. Evelyn laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound meant to reassert control. "You're accusing me? A waitress? Know your place." But Grace didn't flinch. "My place is doing my job, which I've done all night despite your insults," she said. "You've been rude to me and every other server here. You chair this event for kids who need help, but you treat people like garbage. That's not leadership. That's just mean. Her words were clear, deliberate, and carried across the room. A few guests gasped, while others, including a prominent philanthropist, clapped softly. Evelyn's face froze. Her friend, a fellow socialite, tried to intervene, saying, "Let's all calm down." But the damage was done. The event manager rushed over, whispering to Evelyn, who claimed a sudden headache and stormed out, her heels clicking angrily. Richard, who had looked up from his phone during the exchange, watched her go without a word. The gala continued, but the mood had shifted. Guests were talking about Grace's courage, not Evelyn's bidding war. By the next morning, the incident was the talk of Chicago's elite. A guest had posted about it online, praising the brave waitress who stood up to a bully in a ball gown. Local blogs picked up the story and social media amplified it, with hashtags like #GalaTakedown trending briefly. Evelyn's reputation, carefully curated over years, began to crumble. Invitations to exclusive events stopped coming. The Children's Hospital Board, citing public relations concerns, asked her to step down. Her socialite friends distanced themselves, wary of being associated with her now tarnished image. Richard was privately furious. The gala incident embarrassed him in front of business associates, and he began spending more time at their vacation home in Lake Geneva, leaving Evelyn alone in their Gold Coast penthouse. Their marriage, already strained, grew colder. Evelyn tried to salvage her image by posting about her charity work online, but the comments were brutal, filled with references to the waitress incident. Grace, meanwhile, became an unlikely hero. The venue's owner, impressed by her poise, recommended her to a friend who ran a higher-end catering company. Grace took the new job, which paid better and offered flexible hours for Malik. She didn't seek the spotlight, but used the attention to speak at a community event about respect for service workers. "We're not invisible," she said. "We're people just like you." Her words resonated, and she received messages from other servers sharing similar stories of mistreatment. Evelyn's fall wasn't just social. The incident forced her to confront her behavior. She started therapy, though she struggled to admit fault, often blaming Grace for ruining her life. Over time, she withdrew from public life, her influence a shadow of what it once was. Grace, on the other hand, thrived. She enrolled Malik in a better school with her new income and began taking night classes to pursue her dream of working in community outreach. Years later, Evelyn would overhear Grace's name at a low-key fundraiser she attended, trying to rebuild her reputation. Someone mentioned Grace's work with a local nonprofit, calling her inspiring. Evelyn left early, the sting of that night still fresh. Grace, unaware, continued her quiet ascent, proving that courage and dignity could outshine even the most glittering facade. Richard and Evelyn's marriage didn't survive the fallout. He filed for divorce a year later, citing irreconcilable differences. Evelyn walked away with a settlement, but no longer had the social clout to wield it. She moved to a smaller city, where she lived quietly, occasionally volunteering but avoiding leadership roles. Grace, by contrast, became a mentor to other single mothers, sharing her story not for fame, but to inspire resilience. The gala incident became a cautionary tale in Chicago's elite circles. People spoke of it when discussing humility, respect, and the cost of arrogance. Evelyn's name faded, but Grace's lived on, a reminder that one moment of truth could change everything. Expanding to 5,000 words with additional backstory, dialogues, and reflections, Evelyn's rise to power began in her 20s. Born to a middle-class family in suburban Chicago, she learned early that appearances mattered. Her mother, a former beauty queen, pushed her into pageants, teaching her to command a room. Evelyn met Richard at a real estate conference, where her charm and his ambition aligned. They married quickly, and she embraced the role of millionaire's wife, using his wealth to build her social empire. She joined charity boards, not out of passion but for influence, knowing the right connections could open any door.